We were able to complete all the database models last time using our requirement table that we created, right? So we have the class user completed and then the transaction user completed, and properly they have been linked, right? And we have them created in the database successfully as shown somewhere here, right? So there are transactions and users. They are all in the database. And currently the users is empty. We don't have any user in the database. So right now we are going to the endpoint, the user endpoint, right? So currently, let me look at the front end. Let's look at the what's happening at the front end. So I have create user, get user, and all that. But then if you are actually creating the app, what we have to do is that we shouldn't have something like create user. It should be like sign up. So users are coming to create an account, right? We know at the back end that we are creating an account. So we shouldn't call it create user. It doesn't make sense basically. But for the lesson purposes, that's why we took that route. But right, it shouldn't be create user. We need to go there. It should be sign up. Right. So let's go here. It's going to be sign up route, sign up endpoint. So yeah, I'm going to say sign up new user. So let me go to the front end again and refresh this. So see what we have, sign up now. So we are going to sign up. We're doing the proper thing. We get user by ID. We will need it. We will need it somewhere in the application, right? But right now, after sign up, we need to actually log in as well. So we need to actually go and then create an endpoint. So login endpoint for users. We are going to need an endpoint for users, right? So let's start. So endpoint, login endpoint. So to endpoint, so we are going to start that because right now we are in an endpoint or a route. We need to use the user route that we use the API route that you remember, right? So we are using this basically. So user routes instead of using my app because we are now in a single route. So we are going to say at user underscore route dot get. So the assumption is that because we are going to get something from the backend, we are going to use get, right? But then for something, let me show you something. So basically, here we are going to say login. The endpoint is going to be login. No, let's not define the response model yet. Now let's get the function async def login user. So login user function is going to take a user, and then let me do dictionary for now. The DB is going to be a session which is going to be depending on use the depends get DB, right? So yes, so now we need to create the function there. Okay, wait, this is how the user, if you want to log in, what do we need from the front end? We need the email and password. We want to, if one user want to log after creating an account and now you want to log in next time, we just want your email and your password. That's what we need to come in. So we need to define a user model that for login that will be taking only email and password. So if you want to do that model, you know we have to go to the pydantic model. So I'm going to the pydantic models. So right now we have the user out. This is how the user data will go out. Fine. Then is the user update in. So this is how for update. You've done this live previous session. This is the user in. So if this one is using, if you are creating a new user basically at the start. But right now we want to log in, so we don't have a mode like that. So let me do it between here. So let me. So it's going to be model for login user, right? So let me go here and say class user login, right? We are defining a pydantic model for that. So we say base model, right? So what do we need? We need an email, and the email is going to be the default email str, and then we are going to need a password, and the password is going to be a string. So this is what we need for to come in, right? So let's go back to the user. The user model is supposed to be the user login that we just defined, but it is not here. So we need to go from PD model. We are going to import it, add it. You say user login. Okay, so what we need now, user login, right? It's fine. So we have the user login here, and then that's our model. But then let's go to the response model at once. So response model right? It's going to be user out. Yes, I need a user out, that data out. After, if you're able to log in, we need to fetch the same data out, right? Okay, so now the user, this particular user, we are going to make a mistake. It's going to be small u, right? If you use the capital U, it's just going to be like the name of the table. But small u just telling you now that it's from the one from the front end. Okay, so if the user gets in with the email and password, right? Email and password, we need to use the email to fetch it. So we need to query the data. So the database user that we are fetching, we go to db.query, right? If we are querying the user table as usual, and then we are filtering, and we are filtering where the user dot email from the database is equal to the user that we are bringing, small u email, the email that we are bringing dot first. We explain why these dot first and things are needed last times, right? So here we are using the email from, this is from the front end, the one the user will be sending, and this one is already the existing one that will be because of this capital U. This capital U one is a modern one for the table inside, and this one is the one that the small u one is the one that we are taking from the front end. So we are comparing those two to filter and get the first one. Okay, so if db underscore user is none as usual, if it doesn't exist, we need to raise an exception, right? We need to raise an http exception and say that status code, status dot, so not found, right? So not found is 404 404, so not found, comma, then we need the detail, and the detail is going to be like user, there is no existing user with the provided email, right? Something like that. Okay, but then if it is not, there's no existing user with the provided email, fine. But if it is, so if the user is found, if the user is found, now we need to verify the password. So here we need to verify the password provided. How do you do that? So you are going to have a verified is going to be the name of the variable. We are going to use the pass context. You remember we use the pass context to hash, right? When we were here, we're using the pass context that we created. Pass context to hash. So you remember this pass context that we did? We explained the algorithm that we need, right? We used it to hash previously. Yeah, right now that's when creating a new user. But here we are using it to hash context dot verify. We are going to verify an already existing password in the database to the one that we are having. So what we are going to do is that we are going to need a plain password, the one that is coming dot password, comma, the one from the database db user dot password. Okay, let me explain this. So the pass context, right, is aside hash, it has a verify, and the first thing is that you need to enter the password that the user is bringing, the plain password first, and then the hash password. This one in the database is already hash. Why are we using db underscore user? Because we assume that at this level, this one will have found the user. If he's not found, then this exception will be raised and the line will stop here. If you are able to bypass this line, it means that this database user has been fetched. So if you fetch it, it's supposed to contain password, email, and everything about the user, right? So we are going to, so that particular password from that will be a hashed password. But the one from here, the plain one, is what we are bringing. So the plain password and the hash password will now be compared, right? So now if it's compared, it's going to either, this particular is going to return true or false. So this one's verify is going to be either true or false. So now, so we are going to handle that as true or false. So if not verified, if it is not verified, right, we are going to raise an HTTP exception as well, right? And say status code, right? Status dot. We are not exception, right? We right now is a password thing, so we are going to say not unauthorized. It's going to be allow unauthorized, right? Because password is that password mean that we are not authorizing you. So the detail is going to be password that's also, let's say, is incorrect. Password is incorrect basically. So this one allow you to actually understand what went wrong. If the user doesn't exist at all, we are going to do that. Oh, the email doesn't work. But if the email exists but the password is wrong, we are going to raise this exception. But if all those things are said, so email is found and password is found, what's going to happen? We are going to basically return the DB user. We are going to return that, right? If all these things, this flag are passed, right? So then there's return, meaning that everything is successful. Everything is successful. So this is how to use it to verify the password that we already have, right? So right now, so this is the login and the response model is this one, right? So the user out will still be the one that we need. So we help us to control everything from the data. The user out response would allow us to control which one will come out. So that same thing logic will still apply. Let's see this in action. Remember, we use user routes dot get, right? So I'm going to the front and refresh. It's saying get, right? Login user, then sign up here. Okay, let's try it. Of course, hey, right now let's check if the database have some users. Let me refresh it. But we don't have any user in the table, so we need to first create some users, right? Quickly, let's create some users. The first name, um Courage, Courage Joe, yeah, Courage Joe. So I'm going to do like the email is going to be courage at gmail.com, and what's the string? Password is going to be 123456. The phone number is, let's put anything there. The phone number is there. Let me execute this. It's supposed to work now. It has worked, so there's successful response from us. Let me create another one before I check the database. Let's put a lady now inside. Agnes. So Agnes Mensa. Then let's put Agnes at gmail.com. The password, let me do the reverse, 654321. The phone number we don't care, so let's leave it there for now. Execute. Agnes is also created. Let me check my database and refresh. You should see, yeah, so two of them are inside, two users are inside, and the dates that they were created are automatically captured, right? To automatically capture the date that these users were created in the database, so you will know. Okay, so it's fine now. Two people inside. Now let's be able to log in and see. So let me close this and focus on the login. Let me try it out. So it's expecting email and password, right? Because of our pedantic model. You remember? Okay, so here I'm not going to do anything. I'm going to execute this. It's like something is coming out. There's a successful response, right? What's going on? But before I look at here, under details here, type error, fail to fetch or request with get or a head method cannot have body. So if you're having a head or a get, any request that is having a get or a head cannot have body. So if you see that this one, we have used a body, this is a request body that we are providing. If you are using a get, you cannot provide a request body, right? But if you're using a put, it's possible. If you're using a put, it's possible. You're using a patch, it's possible. But if it is a get can have something like user ID. We can have like work with IDs. Remember when we were setting only ID, UID, that thing was successful, right? Using the get. But if you are requiring a body of items, right, we don't need to use the get if you are expecting a body of a request body like this, like how we use for login. So you see the sign up is a post, so we're able to provide this. If you do the same thing for a get method, you will not get it. So we need to, even though we know we are getting something, we are not basically creating something. The actual post and things just give you an idea of what happens at that endpoint, right? But then the post can also be used as to because we are going to put send a body of items, right? A group of items to the backend. We need to use a post. So let's go here. We are not going to use a get. We are going to actually use a post, and you understand why. So that's the logic, so that you don't get confused why you are using a post even though you are getting something from the backend. You see, even the post, when we created a user, we were able to get fetch something from the user. So basically it's important. So, but then use the post and get for the right reason, for the at the right place, right? Okay. So we are verifying password here. So let's go back. Now we are using a post. We've gone through that. Let me refresh. So you can see that now post is now a post login. So meaning that we are now allowed to pass a body, a request body now. Okay, let me execute this. What do we have? There's no existing user with the provided email. So there's an exception that is raised because we don't have this, Charlie. This doesn't match anything. So let's say Francis at gmail.com. Then I'm going to say what's the string? Password, right? 12345 6. This is a correct password, I think, for carriage. But then let's run this again. There's no existing user with the provided email, so the email is wrong. This email is very, very wrong, so we are not using that. So now let's use a correct email now. I think the one in the database we have carriage, right? But then I want to use a wrong password. 123457, not 123456. So if I'm executing this, password is incorrect. So we know the email is by pass, but the password is incorrect, right? So it's fine now. So it's correct, nicely done for us. So what's the next thing? Let me now use a correct password. 123456. Let me execute this. Yeah, so successfully we have the data returned for us. There's no password followed because of our response model that we put there, and everything is well returned for us. We are good. We are good. We are good. What's the next thing now? Let's try Agnes, right? Agnes. So Agnes, let me execute this. Yeah, password is incorrect for Agnes, even though we know her email is correct, but then the password is correct. Remember, for Agnes we use a 654321. We use the reverse password for her. Let's execute that as well. So yeah, so we're able to get Agnes as well. Agnes data is also fully passed. So we are okay, we are fine, we are good. Let's go to our database and then we refresh. Nothing happens here. Those one were used to cache and fed. There's nothing because you're using post. You might think that something will be created in the database. No, the actual creation is actually around there, but then you understand another reason for using post and get, right? So the general thing that post is using for creating something. The basic reason why we say that is because we actually use post to send a body of item backend. We use the put methods to also send a body of items backend to make updates, to make some key things. But if you want to get something, just use the ID or something unique. Okay, yeah, this is how. So we have been able to fully do the sign up and do the login, right? I think the get user too, we have done that. We have that one already, and some key functions. Let's, this is the next concept that we are going to cover in the next session.